Hi everyone, this is Jamie here from 350.org. I help coordinate communications in our East Asia program for the campaign, but today I want to take a few minutes to run through our strategy for the coming weeks. First, I want to mention that this video is directed by you. Last week we sent out a survey to our email list and asked a number of questions about what you wanted to hear more about and what questions you had about the campaign. I'll try and cover many of those in the next few minutes, but before we get into the fun part, it's important to set the stage, why it's so essential to take action this year. Think of this as the necessary gloom and doom section of this presentation, because the truth is, over the past year, and especially in the past few months, climate science has gotten a lot gloomier and doomier. Since 2008, when Dr. James Henn of NASA published his landmark paper declaring 350 ppm the safe upper limit of CO2 in our atmosphere, it's as if the planet has been running its own peer review. Historic rains and floods have affected much of Asia this year. Coral reefs are disappearing at a staggering rate. In fact, a recent report from top oceanographers also called for reducing carbon dioxide below 350 parts per million. And, as I speak, historic wildfires are ravaging southern Europe. You would think that with all these climate impacts and scientists' increasingly urgent warnings about the risk of delay would result in more political action. Sadly, that doesn't seem to be the case. Current proposals like the U.S. climate legislation are far too weak. And on the international level, in the talks building towards the key Copenhagen Climate Conference this December, negotiators are in a virtual deadlock, with rich countries refusing to commit to concrete actions and poor countries refusing to move before rich countries do. In short, with less than 3 months until Copenhagen, our political leaders are far behind where they need to be. It's clear that if we're going to get the kind of international treaty we need to solve the climate crisis, to get us back below 350 parts per million, we're going to need a series of breakthrough moments this year. But here's the good news. This movement, thanks to your help, is perfectly positioned to create one of those moments on the 24th of October. Because while the science and politics are grim, the activism and organizing is bright. And that's what I want to talk about next. The core strategy behind 350.org and the 24th of October International Day of Climate Action is that thousands of creative actions linked together with a specific message can create real political change. It's a strategy that some of our team tested in 2007 in the United States. With our allies, we coordinated over 1,400 simultaneous creative rallies all across the country. And we got great media coverage. And a few days later, leading politicians, including then-candidate for president Barack Obama, adopted our then call to action, cutting carbon 80% by 2050. It was an important first step, and in the process we helped grow a movement that continues to work for even bolder change. Creative action, linked with a specific message, can create real political change. Let's break that down. First, the creative action. People often ask us what sort of action we want them to do, and what an action really is anyway. A great action for the 24th of October should have 3 key elements: people, a display of the number 350 in some way, and a great photo opportunity. Organizing a great 350 event shouldn't require a lot of money or time, but it will require your energy and creativity. Actions can range from 1 person to 10,000 people. So check out our website for a bunch of great ideas about how to take action, and take a look at some great photos of actions that have already taken place around the world. We've even got a simple 9-step plan to help you organize your event. And as you're planning, don't forget to think about your action photo. Taking a picture and uploading it to our website ensures that your action is seen and makes a difference. Great photos also help us get the media coverage we need to make sure that our message is heard loud and clear by world leaders. Now that we've covered the creative action, let's talk about that specific message. And wait, what was that message again? 450, 360, no, 350. So as you already know, we're a bit obsessed with this whole 350 number. So much so that we named the entire campaign after it. And here's why. As the Copenhagen climate talks approach, there's no better way to cut through all the foot-dragging and debate, the bickering and arguments, the acronyms, terminology, and diplomatic mumbo-jumbo than a clear and simple target like 350 ppm. First, because that's what science says is necessary, and there's a power in speaking the truth, even if it's sometimes difficult or inconvenient to hear. And second, 350 ppm gives us a benchmark to judge the success of any treaty that comes out of Copenhagen. Because in the end, we don't just want an international climate treaty. We want an international climate treaty that actually solves the climate crisis. As President Mohammed Nasheed of the Maldives Islands has said, Copenhagen can be one of 2 things: an historic event where the world unites against carbon pollution, or Copenhagen can be a suicide pact. The choice is that stark. And the good news is 350 ppm is actually in the draft text of the agreement already. There's no guarantee it will stay there. It's only one option for what the target the treaty should set. But it's a major accomplishment to have it there in the first place, and we'll be fighting hard to make sure it not only stays in the treaty, but helps define the vision of what this global plan for action should do. But if we're focused on the treaty that will be negotiated in Copenhagen this December, why are we taking action in October? Well, by positioning ourselves 6 weeks before the Copenhagen talks, we can actually help set the agenda instead of being gobbled up by the frenzy around the talks themselves. By creating our own space, the story will be about all of us, you and your action, instead of the story being about the negotiations and our actions getting only a sentence or two, 8 paragraphs into an article. And finally, the 24th of October is also United Nations Day, a holiday that few people seem to celebrate, but something that we can help recreate. By taking action on the 24th, we can remind the United Nations of its true purpose, to bring us all together in confronting the great challenges of our time. So let's take a moment to recap. First, there are creative actions you all are planning around the world for October 24th. Second, there's our unifying and focused message, 350. And third, there's a change we can make together, convincing world leaders to create a strong and just climate treaty in Copenhagen. And is it working? Well, thanks to you, 350.org is accelerating in leaps and bounds. You can see I've saved the best news for last. As I make this video in late July, over 1,200 actions are registered in over 83 countries. You're planning campus bike rides in China, actions on Mount Everest in Nepal, rallies at Easter Island among those giant heads, and underwater actions at the Great Barrier Reef. Schools and churches are getting involved, businesses are taking action. It's incredibly exciting. And it's also almost too much to keep up with. But we need much, much more to make the kind of difference we need. So please, if you're watching this video and you haven't already planned an event, or you have friends that aren't, sign up and get started. Finally, I want to end with the most important fact of all. 350.org isn't a single organization. It's a campaign that's supported by hundreds of partner organizations and coalitions around the world. Our partners are far too numerous to name in this video, from the China Youth Climate Action Network to the Belize Botanic Gardens to the Global Campaign for Climate Action. These groups and coalitions make this movement possible. And since the 24th of October is just one day, there's plenty of time for you to get involved with other campaigns too, and integrate them into your organizing. Check out our Friends and Allies section of our website to learn more about different efforts around the world, and reach out to new partners. Over half of you who answered our survey last week said that you could pull in new groups to lead this movement. The sooner you start reaching out to new friends, the better. Okay, that's it for our strategy update. I hope this has answered some of the questions you might have had about 350.org and the 24th of October. Now it's time to get to work. You know, as our friends at the Global Campaign for Climate Action say, the clock is tick, tick, ticking, and we've got a planet to save. So keep up the great work, and many thanks from me and the entire 350.org team.